It's time to talk LSU baseball with Mike Scarborough and Kendall Rogers of D1Baseball. This is Batter Up.
All right. It's been several weeks since Kendall and Rogers and I have talked. Mike Scarborough here, of course, with Tiger Bait. And what a 2 weeks it's been for LSU baseball. Left on the side of the road dead. I did a show the Wednesday night before the Ole Miss weekend and said it was over. No postseason. Didn't see them sweeping Ole Miss. They sweep. Then they go to Hoover, and we say they need to win one just to make sure they're in. And then what a run they had, and it's been a fun 2 weeks, Kendall.
Well, trust me, I'm the type of person who will freely admit when I'm just flat out wrong or when I'm flat out right. And I'm right on LSU. I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said, hey, here's the thing. Would I pick these guys to win the national championship right now? Absolutely not. Do I think that they have a run in them? Do I think they could piece things together enough to be really dangerous in the postseason? I said, absolutely yes. And I mean, I got lucky, but that's how things are materialized. I think what kind of happened with this team, and I go back to the Missouri weekend, is after those couple of weekends before the A&M series, I think this team started to believe a little bit. You started to see better pitching, Jump, and Holman has been great all year long, but Jump had been better. The bullpen started to perform at a higher level. Griffin Herring, all year long has been a frontline, bullpen ace for them. And when the A&M series hit, when they won that, I felt like, and I think I even said this on here, if they can take 2 or 3 from those guys, they can take 2 or 3 from anybody. And honestly, that's kind of the way they played the rest of the way. I mean, yeah, they lost the Alabama series, but I mean, they lost it on a mistake on the infield. It wasn't like Alabama went out there and just mauled them. They just, bad throw went off the line and they lost. But outside of that, man, they've played really well. They're getting key hits. No disrespect to him, but I keep telling people, when Michael Braswell's getting clutch hits left and right for you, dude, you're on a heater. And this team's feeling it, man. They feel like they can beat anybody in the country. And when you have that belief going the postseason, especially with some kids who, played for a national championship, won a national championship last year, they're dangerous. They're really dangerous.
Well, there's been multiple times where fans and media have gotten after Jay for Braswell at the top of the lineup. Where he was putting his home run hitters. And certainly, he said several times we're a top 15 team in the midst of, trying to claw their way back. And at that time had no shot at postseason play. And now it's just kind of like a lot of the things that he's been saying is, the other one, we get sent to a region, we make it in, we get to a regional. No one's going to want to face us if they see us as a 2 seed, a 3 seed, whatever. And a lot of this stuff has come to fruition, and he's kind of been a soothsayer about his baseball team when everybody else was saying, really some guys, my buddy Sanji, was saying no way they're that, and now you're saying that, but now they go to Chapel Hill. What's your take on their draw and a little bit of I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in the selection room when they were pairing up Chapel Hill to Tucson.
Yeah, no doubt. I know Jay had to smirk at that one a little bit. You knew that was going to happen. And honestly, if I'm LSU, I kind of love that draw, frankly. I think I think Arizona's pretty good with Mason White and Brennan Summerhill, but I think LSU's honestly, probably a better team at this point. But we can cross that bridge when we get there. But, I think the big thing is looking at this tournament field overall. Wofford's dangerous. A lot of LSU fans are going to look at that game, and I don't think LSU fans will take anything for granted, especially with this team. But I think some casual fans will look at that and go, "Oh, Wofford. Well, I'm looking ahead to North Carolina." And I'll tell you what, they're dangerous. I mean, J.J. Edwards has done a really nice job his first year there. He took over for Todd Interdonato who went to Boston College, but had one. Dude, I think it was something like 35 plus games, 5 out of 6 years at Wofford. That's incredibly impressive. And, JJ's done a really nice job of just kind of continuing that tradition there with the Terriers. The big thing for them is what's going to be interesting is they're going to see a little different look on Friday night or Friday afternoon with Zach Cowan. Zach Cowan for Wofford has had impeccable command this year. He struck out a lot of people, and he's been a really good ace for them. And it's a pitchability right-hander who's going to just absolutely pound the zone. So how Wofford plays defense, and can LSU elevate that ball a little bit against a guy like that? To be determined. But, obviously the team to watch in here other than LSU is going to be North Carolina. When you look at this lineup as a whole, as a casual fan, you don't really think of North Carolina as like some offensive juggernaut. But I tell you what, you go up and down this lineup, it's like, damn, like Parks Harbor, the Georgia. It's kind of funny. I was talking to some on our podcast last night about this. Imagine if Parks Harbor was at Georgia for another year. 20 home runs, 60 RBIs this year. Imagine him around Condon and Corey Collins. I mean, that's scary. So, he's been a really nice addition for the Tar Heels. Casey Cook, 18 bombs. Vance Honeycutt, who might be the best defensive outfielder in college baseball, premier prospect. He's got 22 bombs. And then you've got, Luke Stevenson, Alberto Osuna, a couple of, experienced guys with double-digit home runs as well. So you've got, 5 guys in their lineup with double-digit home runs. So they can really get rolling at Boshamer. And again, I think if LSU could just win with Gage Jump, I feel good about him anytime Luke Holman's on the mound.
Yeah, look, it's one of the questions all week has been, does he play with his starting pitcher on game 1? And that's not something that Jay would do.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that formula's working for him right now.
And so, but to shift gears a little bit, and then we'll get back on that track. But 11 SEC teams. What about 6 in Louisiana? 6 Louisiana teams.
How about that? I'll say this. I think one of the best coaching jobs that have been done over the last 2 years is Nicholls State. I think anybody who's seen their facility in Thibodeau, it's not god-awful, but it's not very nice. And what Mike Silva's done there, especially after he led La Tech to a regional host, or, helped. I mean, Lane Burroughs is an awesome coach, but, helped Lane Burroughs get to a regional host a couple of years ago. To have Nicholls State, as much of a punching bag as they were in that conference, go back-to-back NCAA tournaments, and, by the way, be a 3 seed this year, one of the best coaching jobs in college baseball. Mike Silva would be right at the top of my list if I was hiring a new coach. He's done an awesome job there. Well, the other thing, too, real quick on Silva is
where's he going to end up?
Well, he was a finalist for Memphis last year and somehow didn't get it. I don't know. I mean, Matt Reiser's a good coach, but he has been – well, I'll just say he's been asked about to me by a couple of athletic directors already this summer. So – he's on people's radar. But, the thing that's really impressive to me is Jacob Myers, their Friday guy. He's up to 95, 96. He could have gone anywhere. He could have gone – I mean, honestly, he could have probably ended up at LSU. But he decided to be the Friday starter. He's not quite an SEC caliber Friday guy. So he decided to stick it out with Mike Silva and Nicholls State and continue being their Friday guy. So that gives you an idea of how much commitment these kids in that program have. So it's really impressive. The other schools that are in, I think the Cajuns are kind of dangerous this weekend. I mean, obviously I like A&M at home with an offensive-friendly ballpark. The wind's going to be blowing out. It's going to be hotter than hell. I like A&M at home with their offense. But, I mean, you look at the Cajuns with Andrew Herman, LP Longeman on the back end of the bullpen, 100 strikeouts in 60 innings. I mean, that's outrageous. He's right up there with Griffin Herring and Evan Aschenbeck at A&M for top reliever in the country. And then Kyle DeBarge offensively is just a fantastic player. And then you got, Louisiana Tech and Tulane. Jay Ullman, I'll tell you what, Jay Ullman doesn't win a lot in the regular season. But, hey, if you want to hire a coach who just wins in the conference tournament, hire Tulane's Jay Ullman, because for back-to-back seasons, they're in the postseason. I think they're dangerous, man. Jackson Lynn is a dangerous hitter. He's been there for a few years. He's an experienced guy. So I think Oregon State's on upset alert. I think Tulane is more talented than the record indicates. And then, of course, La Tech. I think they're kind of a sleeper team in this field because if you look at historically, I go back to Coastal in 2016. If you look at programs who historically make runs through the NCAA tournament, what are they typically, right? They're old. And if you look at La Tech, it's like Cole McConnell, Ethan Bates, Jorge Corona. I mean, they're a really old team. A lot of these guys were on the team that hosted a regional. So I think they're dangerous in Fayetteville this weekend, especially with Arkansas, statistically the worst offensive team in the NCAA postseason.
Who has a better chance to win and then host a super regional? LSU in Chapel Hill or Dallas Baptist in Arizona?
Ooh. I'll go with LSU in Chapel Hill. I love the way they're playing. I think DBU for me, I feel like DBU is awesome in the opening game with Ryan Johnson. Like he's a first team All American, top of arm. But I feel like the drop off for them is pretty sizable after him. So I think Arizona is going to win that regional. I just think there's too big of a drop off pitching wise for DBU after that first game.
And here's the other part of it. I think a lot of LSU baseball fans, what we've seen all season long from LSU, is that you kind of feel like the scarier proposition is winning the regional than winning the super regional, just because of the drop off, getting to your third pitcher and not knowing what you're going to get and how it's going to come about. But yeah, it's look, Jay seems to be pushing all the right buttons right now, and they were extremely upbeat. I've seen a little bit of North Carolina media and what they're saying there. I think LSU is going to travel well to that park. But do you know anything about what type of third starter that either North Carolina or Wofford have?
Wofford, I mean, it's going to be like a typical mid-major, right? Like they're going to have a little bit of a drop-off there. North Carolina is another team that if you can get deep in the weekend on them, they can be had a little bit because, I mean, think of where they would be if they had guys like Folger Boas, who was their Friday guy earlier this year. I mean, they've got 2 weekend starters that are on the shelf, and they're still winning at the same level. That just gives you an idea of just how good they can be offensively. So any team with a couple of starters down, if you can get them to Monday, they're going to be in rough shape, which works right in LSU's favor because I think the Tigers, where they can be had, is if you can get them to a Monday and force them to exhaust the bullpen, especially if Christian Little's out, which it sounds like it's kind of an upper back deal with him. And I mean, who knows with that, right? Like upper back injury, you and I are both guys that work out a little bit. If you get an upper back injury, I can't imagine you're going out there and throwing a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, 6 days later, but we'll see.
Well, we're brought each week. This Batter Up segment is brought to you by attorney Kenneth P. Haines. Let's hear from Kenny.
Kenny Haines is a proud 1989 graduate of LSU Law School with a passion for justice. Kenny stands out as the only lawyer in the state, board certified in both appellate practice and family law. Drawing from 34 years of trial experience, Kenny has navigated the most complex aspects of real people's lives. If you need help in Northwest Louisiana with a family issue, legal issue, or a highly skilled trial attorney, call Kenny 318-222-2100. And speaking of winning, Kenny would like to recognize our 2023 national champions and congratulate coaches Kim Mulkey and Jay Johnson. Go Tigers!
And Kenny is the unofficial attorney of TigerBait.com, and he's got a really excellent thread on our message board, by the way, where he dives into the NCAA. And
I have a question: Is Kenny one of those guys where like you hope you never have to use him?
No. No, he doesn't do criminal, but he does a lot of family and his firm. Well, his firm covers just about everything, but the firm he's
very
with.
Nice. Well, yeah, thanks to Kenny for sponsoring this deal. It's been a lot of fun this year, and if LSU wins this weekend, we'll keep it rolling. If they lose, we'll put a bow on the season.
Yeah, well, I will say this: how often is it there any things legally that you actually enjoy? So, yeah. I know you've done this backwards and forwards all week long. Is it necessary that the toughest regional out there is also the one that you're most excited to see how it plays out with the most intriguing matchups?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, just kind of looking around the country, I actually feel like Tennessee got a little bit of a tough draw as the number one overall national seed. I mean, Southern Miss, you guys are obviously well acquainted with them from a couple of years ago in the regionals. I mean, they're really old. They just played Tennessee in a super last year. So that I think they're dangerous. Indiana's a 3 seed there. And if they win that, they're going to have to get through East Carolina or more than likely Wake Forest. And so I actually think Tennessee is a little bit of a tough draw. I think Oklahoma has a tough draw. You get ORU, a reigning World Series team, as your 4 seed. UConn, Jim Penders, Washburn's repeat. And, they're really good again. They're the 3. And then Duke, who won the ACC tournament, frankly, should be hosting. They're the 2 seeds. So those are the 2 regionals for me. They kind of stand out. And, if Duke won that, they would play Florida State in the super regional round, at least in my bracket.
Do you have any upset alerts first day, like teams that
Yeah, I'll give you a couple. Keep it on Evansville, East Carolina. Evansville's a really good team. West Carroll's done an awesome job there. They beat Indiana State, who, by the way, also is a really good team to win the MVC tournament. Keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on Tulane or Corvallis. I think Tulane's really dangerous in that first game. I would keep an eye on Fresno State against UC Santa Barbara, and then Grand Canyon against Arizona. Those are, again, Arizona smashed them midweek play earlier this year, but they're a club that those 2 teams are well acquainted with each other. And that last game, I can't remember where it was, but GCU is way better than they showed in that midweek game. So we keep it on the lips.
So this 11-bid SEC season before Texas and Oklahoma come in next year, is that setting the marker now for what's to come? Now, is 11 going to be the baseline, or what's going to be the baseline once you add 2 more teams with very good baseball programs?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think what they're doing is moving the goalposts a little bit to make room for that. But I would still say 11 or 12. I mean, so you think about you're adding 2 teams, and right now 10 is typically the number. You add 2 teams, I would think 11 is typically the number, so that opens the door to 12. So I'd say 11 to 12, probably 11 in most years.
So going forward, knowing what you know about these schools and their baseball programs, I mean, what is going to be the minimum number when it's a down SEC year? What is
10?
What is a down SEC year? Yeah,
I'd say 10 bids would be a down year for the SEC.
So we're talking 10 to 12 going forward.
Yeah, exactly. The problem will be is finding a way to get to 13 or 14 wins in this league with all those teams in it. I mean, it's going to be but you think this year was a battle. It's going to be battle royale, man.
The Brady Neal at the plate against South Carolina, how quick does that get remedied in the offseason with rule changes? You think
that's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I think everything should be reviewed. I really do. Like I'm saying, in that situation, there should be no question that's reviewable. So yeah, I think moving forward, I would say what they should do is classify that in any like bang controversial play at the plate is reviewable. I would say that at the least, I would say that like any play at the plate is reviewable.
Well, I asked Jay that on Monday when we got him, and then I also followed up with his thoughts on the double first base with the green bag. And he seemed to be indifferent about it. Just let him know what the rule is. He didn't seem to be passionate either way. I don't know what the feedback you've gotten from other coaches on it is. Do you think that's here to stay?
I don't know, man. Most of the coaches I've talked to about it don't really care either way. I would say probably. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if the rest.
Why not just make the bag? Why not just make the bag bigger? Why have 2 bags?
Yeah,
you're sitting a sprained ankle deal if you step on that crease in the middle of 2 bags.
Yeah, just I mean, what you do is just do 1 bag and one color in one half and 1 color in the other. The reason why you don't do 1 full white bag is because if the ball goes over the bag, it's a fair ball.
Yeah.
So you don't want an ump looking at an all white bag and trying to determine, okay, did it go over the bag or not on the
put a stripe down the middle or
exactly. So a stripe would work actually.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, tell them what you got. D1Baseball is absolutely where you're going to want to be.
Stuff. Yeah.
I know y'all are kicking out content. Etheridge and all your guys, the whole staff. Tell everybody what y'all have got coming and how to subscribe.
Yeah, man, we got actually our Chapel Hill regional preview is already up. Pretty detailed, a lot of WAR stats as well, which is always really interesting. We'll have Mark Etheridge will be doing a running kind of national blog throughout the weekend, and Aaron Fitt and Joe Healy will actually be in Chapel Hill, so a lot of LSU coverage. And of course, I'm on the portal beat as we speak, and I can just go ahead and tell you that we'll be busy for LSU fans.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Portal J, man, the Portal King.
Yeah, I'll be anxious to see how that all works out at the end of the year when you rate classes from the portal.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Kendall, talk on the other side, man.
You got it,
Good
buddy.
stuff.
Yeah, y'all have a
Thanks.
good weekend. Good luck to the Tigers.
Uh-huh.